Folks in the room, please take your seats or come up to your position so we can get started on time. We don't want to run too much people into their evening in the summertime. Are you ready, Cesar? So, welcome to the third meeting of the 43rd session of the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University. If you're attending the meeting virtually and need a reminder of the Zoom features used in our Senate meetings, the Zoom tip sheet can be found on our website at the top of the consent agenda page. At this time, please make sure your microphones are muted, and those of you in the room, please make sure your phones are in silent. For those of you on Zoom, Secretary Holliday will be monitoring the Zoom raise hands function. You will be called upon first before others in the room. She will verbally identify you, then you can unmute your mic and ask your questions. Please, in fairness to others, limit yourself to one question at a time. Secretary Holliday will also be monitoring the chat, so message them as necessary, and please send chat messages directly to her. We are using the registration function of Zoom to track attendance. Most visitors today have been asked to view our meeting via our live stream, but our guests and administrators who may be asked to answer questions are joining us in person or via Zoom. Visitors wishing to address the Senate may make this request by sending a chat message to Senator Holliday or by using the raise hand functions. Finally, if the senator wishes to offer a motion during today's meeting, please raise your hand on Zoom at the appropriate time and ask to be recognized. So at this time, we're going to go into speaker comments, and they're going to probably be a little longer than one would like, but the circumstances are what they are. Colleagues, the state of the Senate is uncertain. I am buoyed by the comments by Chancellor Hager as reported in the Texas Tribune that, quote, at this exact time, I don't see a situation where faculty senates would not exist. But until our Board of Regents meets on August 27th, the future of the Senate remains in limbo. What does appear certain is that this will be our last regular meeting together as the fully elected representatives of our units. I wish I could provide a clearer idea of the future of the Senate. However, at this point, I simply cannot. I can only convey that I have communicated to the university leadership the value of the Senate to the university, including the tremendous amount of work we do on behalf of the university, as well as the impacts of shrinking the size of the Senate. The executive committee has been hard at work suggesting changes to our bylaws and constitution to bring them in compliance with Senate Bill 37 and will be presented to the faculty when and if this is possible. I thank everyone for your patience, support, and understanding. As senators, we need to stand ready to assist the smooth transition of shared governance to continue to support faculty advisorship to institutional leadership for the betterment of our students and faculty. So I think at this time we need to reflect a little upon what the Senate has accomplished over its history, both with pride and as encouragement for what the future may bring. Our Senate was established over 40 years ago by John McDermott and other forward-looking faculty. And I looked this up, and we are now on our 13th president. So we've survived a number of them. So clearly some representative faculty body of a university quickly approaching its sesquicentennial can outlast a few more of them. One of the things I've tried to do this summer is to capture what this Faculty Senate does and what it has meant for Texas A&M University. I think I owe it to this group to summarize some of what I have found. Just a few highlights. So at former Speaker Hill Price's suggestion, I tracked down every reference to the Senate in university SAPs. It turns out that we are referenced in 12 SAPs. In addition to our stated roles in curricular processes, probably the most important to our faculty are our roles in the selection, evaluation, and retention of provost, deans, and department heads. And those are 3 separate SAPs. And I'm looking out at some of you in the audience and on Zoom, and you will remember some of the battles and fights we have had over the years over making sure faculty are adequately represented in all 3 of these separate documents. I'm not telling you anything y'all don't know, but y'all have done a tremendous amount of work, university service in your roles as senator. Overall, I estimate that during our 42nd Senate session as senators, we devoted approximately 174 weeks of collective time and service to the Senate and hence to the university. I will leave it up to all of you if you feel your time was adequately captured on your 3Gs or your annual evaluations, and you've given adequate credit for that. In its 42nd session, this Senate considered a total of 1,572 items on our agenda. For those of you who go into cars, given the sheer amount of pages of each one of those, this is a tremendous amount of work. And I don't see him in the audience, but I'm going to give a shout out to Clint McGill, who over the years would literally read every page of our agendas when we printed them out. That's just an example of the amount of work that this body has done over the years. Thanks, Clint. I can't list them all, but collectively, you have served on a number of important committees that do a lot of what help this university operate. They're not what we see in public, but they're what gets the work done behind the scenes and how we represent the faculty voice around the university. I think all of this evidences the important role that the Senate and yourselves have played in shared governance at this university. So, on to some other matters. We do a few other things and worry about Senate Bill 37. First, I want to thank all senators who attended our executive session to discuss and vote on honorary degrees. I personally wish to apologize to senators for not getting an email reminder out of the meeting sooner. It's kind of been a busy summer. I also want to thank everyone, senators and otherwise, who have contributed to updating the minimum syllabus requirements that are now posted. They remain a work in progress, I understand that, and some editorial changes will be required. I hear more and more. So rest assured, the Senate office will continue to work to address any issues people find with them, and you can send them to me or the Senate office, and we will work to get them fixed. And now they will appear in simple syllabus, etc. As some of you may be aware, Texas A&M is part of an effort to create, the Texas A&M University system is part of an effort to create a new higher ed accreditation agency. The name for this new body is the Commission for Public Higher Education. You may start to hear the acronym CPHE. In response to this, faculty senators from the states, all southern states that are part of this commission have met, and have formed a faculty group called Faculty for Responsible Education and Accreditation, FREA. I have been attending the meetings of this group, given that the Texas A&M University system is the one university system in the state that is a member of this commission. FREA is working to assure that faculty involvement in these activities, and I have volunteered to Dr. Hallmark of the system to serve on one of the subcommittees. It goes without saying that this is something that our faculty will need to continue to be engaged in if it impacts our future accreditation of the university. I'll also say that a number of senators are heavily involved in both TAMU 2040, as well as the university's planning for its upcoming sesquicentennial, which you will start to hear a lot more about in the upcoming months. Even today, this body has a number of important matters before us, including curricular approvals and discussion and voting on our faculty code of conduct. We will also take time at this meeting to present various Senate awards. And also, given the circumstances, the Senate office is working on other things to ensure we acknowledge the efforts of our currently serving senators. So please stay tuned for more information. I don't know about each of you, but over the past few months, I have certainly had the opportunity to reflect upon the Senate, what it has meant to the institution, and to me personally. I just want to say a few words. I count my work in the Senate as probably the most impactful things I have accomplished for this university and its students as a professor. I suspect some of you feel the same way I do. I also suspect that has been the case for many of you. Service in the Senate has greatly broadened my involvement in the university and expanded my interactions with colleagues across this campus, many of whom I would not have otherwise had any reason to meet. But now I count not only as colleagues, but also as friends. I need to make a special shout out to my newish Faculty Senate colleagues in Art Sci. While the transition from our three colleges into the new one has certainly not been easy, for many of us who have served in the Faculty Senate, I think one of the silver linings was getting to know each other a bit better. So thank you, everyone. So regardless of the future of the Faculty Senate at Texas A&M, I encourage each of you to think about how you can continue to be a leader in your own way going forward. Certainly, the state of higher education requires this, even though we may not want to do it. I, for one, fully intend to continue to encourage or prod our leadership to move forward on things that I believe benefit the faculty. There were a number of things that I had wanted to accomplish in my time as speaker. So while I still hold the gavel, I'm going to press our leadership on three specific things. One, increasing faculty participation in outreach to our constituents. And by this, I don't simply mean making short videos or marketing pieces that highlight our specific research or a specific academic program. Don't get me wrong, these are important. But one of the problems that higher education is facing is serious misconceptions about who we are. I think there's overall value to the university in having actual A&M faculty go out to schools, visit Aggie Moms Club, and other venues to help counter the growing misperceptions of higher education, but also who we are as faculty members. So I would encourage that of administrations. Second, this is and get a personal review for doing this. Second, A&M has the strongest former student network in the country. Some of you may know about the program formerly called Elder Hostel. It's now called Rhodes Scholar. This program has provided for many years educational opportunities both on campus and through travel for older adults. A&M used to run such a program, and I would encourage the university, perhaps working with the Association of Former Students, to bring it back to Texas A&M. I even had a really great name for this, I thought. I said, we need to call it Aggie Hostel. And then I talked to Porter Gardner, and he told me, no, this is what we used to call it in the old days. So it was there, and it was called Aggie Hostel, and we should bring it back. But seriously, I think this is a great opportunity for our former students and also for our faculty, especially APT faculty, who may be seeking summer opportunities. And please sign me up to take former students to Antarctica, New Zealand, and Patagonia. I'd love to do it, and I'm sure there are a lot of other faculty who would like to do that as well. And I think, again, something that we can do to help overcome some of the misperceptions about faculty. Lastly, during my last term as speaker, I became aware that the university was considering designing a ring for A&M faculty. While these rings would not be identical to the Aggie ring, given the prominence of a ring, and I'm going to paraphrase the Methodist Church's Book of Worship, as an outward and visible sign of Texas A&M University, it seems appropriate to allow faculty who have devoted a significant amount of their academic career to this institution the ability to proudly show their connection to the institution through a ring as well. I would encourage the administration to finally complete this task. To me, it seems a relatively small investment with a potentially large return on investment in terms of goodwill of the faculty. So finally, as I alluded to at the beginning of my comments, while today appears to be the last regular meeting of the Faculty Senate for a while, please put a hold on your calendar for 2 to 3 p.m. on Friday, August 29th, for a possible special executive session of this body. While some of what may be discussed at this meeting will undoubtedly depend upon the outcome of the Board of Regents meeting, there's also urgency for the Senate to vote on a number of curricular items that the university has been expediting through its curricular approval processes. And I believe we have at least 140 items out there right now that are not going to be on this agenda, but we need to get approved. I believe it sends a strong message to our constituents, the university, and the Texas A&M system that this body is willing to work until the last minute to perform our duties for the betterment of our students. A calendar invite hold will be going out to all senators after the meeting. Thank you. So we do not have a guest speaker, so we will move quickly through that part. So next, approval of the meeting minutes. We will now move to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections to the July 14th, 2025 meeting minutes found in attachment A? Hearing none, I declare the meetings approved as distributed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or concerns on the August 11th consent agenda items? I need to make a couple of comments about this. Let me find my paper. So you will notice there were a number of items that were listed as pending. We are not going to consider any of the degrees that are up for consideration there. There were 2 master's degrees and I believe 4 undergraduate degrees. How many, Alicia? 2. Sorry about that. The master's degrees have been moved to the faculty senate level, but unfortunately all the courses that are in these degrees have not. So the degrees cannot be considered without the courses. So we're going to hold off on all of those. Did I get that right? Okay. So all of that will remain pending until our next meeting. So are there any concerns with the items on the consent agenda as presented?
I'm sorry, did you say the undergraduate degrees aren't being considered either, or?
No, they're not being considered this time.
Okay.
They will probably be, the intent is to have these items be brought up before the end of the month. That is why we have the special meeting at the end of the month to deal with all these. Yes.
So the new program that is there, which is College B36 on the agenda, is not under the pending approval part.
So which one is that?
It's BSE SST, Environmental and Sustainable Studies. That one is going to be voted upon today.
Okay. Okay. So we have exact numbers of which ones we're not voting on.
But Andrew, question.
Who's asked?
Hank Walker, the graduate degrees that were approved by the Graduate Council last week are on the consent agenda?
They were on the consent of pending approval by the GC, but the problem is, Frank, the courses that go into those programs have not been approved, so we cannot approve the programs without the courses being approved.
Wait, but the cybersecurity degree is using primarily existing courses.
Well, I think so. So that one is listed on the agenda as pending GC approval, and so it will not be voted on today. Everything that's going to be voted on should have a number next to it. The things that say, like B13, for example, anything that does not have a number would not get voted upon. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I'm calling up my helper here. So then the new programs proposal on page 2, pending GC approval from the cybersecurity, the one for genetic counseling, since it says pending GC approval is not on there. The change of programs, that stays because it has an agenda number. B14, B15 stays. So everything that has an agenda number actually stays and is what we're voting on. The things that don't have a number, like the Bachelor of Science in Coaching and Teaching in Secondary Education, back on page 4 for those who are in the room, it doesn't have an agenda number, so it would not be voted upon. And the same thing with the Bachelor of Science in Maritime Operations.
So Alicia, are we voting on, oh, I'm looking at your numbers. I apologize for that.
Yeah, so everything on the agenda, if you look at the current agenda, if it has a number next to it, so it'll be B something or A something, those are the things that we're indeed voting upon.
Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm just saying the Graduate Council did approve those 2 graduate degrees last Thursday.
May I request of the speaker that Dr. Elisa Dorsey be recognized to speak?
Yeah, yes.
Hello, I'm Melissa Dorsey in Academic Affairs. There were 2 degrees that were voted on by the GPC last week. One of them is there it is. The Master of Science in Cybersecurity. That one of the 2 degrees does not have any courses affiliated with it that need to come to the Faculty Senate. So technically, the Faculty Senate could vote on that one, even though it wasn't on your published agenda with the links. The other master's degree and the 2 undergraduate degrees that are listed as pending, they have courses affiliated with them. So they need to be voted on at the end of the month because there are electronic votes that are going on currently to get those through the committees. Does that make sense?
Senator Carpenter, please raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. Robert Carpenter, College of Medicine. I also work within the College of Medicine's Office of Graduate Studies very closely with my colleagues who have developed this very important, in fact, essential for the state of Texas, master's degree training program in genetic counseling. Given the uncertainty of what will be happening with the faculty senate and the hard work that they've already put forward, what will then happen to this exceptional amount of work that our colleagues within the College of Medicine and the Office of Graduate Studies have completed heretofore. Thank you.
So as we described earlier, the plan is there is a number of curricular items, what some of you have talked about, some of others that are moving through the curricular approval process. We are planning on having a special meeting of the Senate on the 29th of September. August, thank you, of August to deal with the curricular items that we cannot deal with today. So please, everyone, do not panic about this. We're doing our best to make sure everything that is in the process can get through the process.
So as a point of order, we should be voting on the things that actually have the number with them, and everything else we'll be able to catch up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So we'll vote for only those number items, and everything else we can vote on in the next special meeting. Sorry about the confusion. It's the world we're operating in. Any other questions or concerns on the consent agenda? Yes. Senator Jimenez.
Jimenez, Engineering. So just to be clear, to provide closure for Hank's question, there's no reason why we couldn't vote on the cybersecurity masters thing. It's just some kind of glitch or something. But we could theoretically today vote on it, dispense with it, and then never have to worry about it.
Dr. Dorsey would like to speak.
I'm still Alicia Dorsey. The Master of Science in Cybersecurity, that one has been approved by the curriculum, by the GPC, and there were no new courses or changing courses that were a part of that particular degree. So if the Faculty Senate wants to vote on that one of the four, it has gone through the curricular process. I mean, the sense was to put all of them together at the end of this month, but there's only one of the four that did not have any courses that went through at the same time. So technically you could do the cybersecurity. You could technically do that today if you wanted to, other than 2 weeks from now.
So since it doesn't have an agenda number, that would probably need to come up under new business.
Okay. So Hank and Dan, if we want to bring it up under new business, you can do that, or we can wait and put it on our next agenda. But it will be voted on before this body changes. Anybody have a preference? Okay. Any other concerns on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I move approval of all numbered items on the consent agenda, holding off those pending items. Unfinished. Okay. Senator Greenwood. Oh, they're voting. Sorry. They're okay. I believe we have approved everything on the consent agenda. Thank you.
I like it.
Okay, so there's no unfinished business. There are no committee reports. So we have a number of items, 2 items of new business. So the first item of new business is finally possible approval of our code of conduct, which is included as attachment D1. So if you have not looked at attachment D1, it has had basically 3 additions, if I remember correctly, made to it. The preamble has been added to the document, And there are a couple of other substantive changes in some of the text which were added to address some of the concerns of some of the colleagues. Is there, so I now move approval, I now call upon Secretary Holliday to move approval of attachment D2.
I move approval of attachment D2.
Oh, pardon me, it's D1, sorry, the notes are wrong.
I
Move to,
D1, Code of Conduct.
are there any discussion? So Dr. Papu?
Sorry about that. I forgot to lower my hand. Sorry about that.
Senator Hartle? Do you have any questions or comments? Okay, there's no one has gone up to the mic in the room. So hearing no discussion, all in favor of voting on a code of conduct, please raise your hand, both virtually and online. Can you guys count? In the room. Do we have everybody's hands? Okay, please lower your hands. We still have a couple online whose hands are still raised. I guess all opposed, please raise your hands. There's one in the room. Fine. Oh, two in the room and one online. So are we done counting? The motion passes. Senator Holliday. I call upon Senator Holliday to move approval of attachment D2.
I move approval of attachment D2, Student Rule 7.2.1.3 and 7.1.3.1, non-birthing student rule.
Any discussion on this item? Anything online? All in favor, please say aye or please raise your hands. What? Yeah, you can raise one. Lower them. Sorry. You guys got everybody? Okay, you can put your hands down online. All opposed, make sure everyone has their hands lowered here. There's still one raised, but all opposed, please raise your hands. The motion passes. Thank you for working through our new business. So before we adjourn, there's an informational item that is on here, and it's acknowledgement of service to the Senate. So given the circumstances, I think it's appropriate that we take a few minutes to recognize some of our colleagues. And we actually have a number of colleagues and individuals and groups to recognize this year. So historically, the Senate has given out 2 awards for outstanding service to the Senate. to the Senate, the Richard Stadelman and the Walter Doherty Awards. The first is awarded to a first-term senator, while the second can be awarded to any senator. I would like to thank everyone who nominated their fellow colleagues, especially as this was definitely a last-minute request. Both awards had strong nominations, and I think the committee would agree. We had a lot of discussion, and the decision we made were not easy ones. So first, I want to present the Richard Stadelman Award. This award is presented in recognition of the many contributions of Richard Stadelman to the Faculty Senate and its objectives, including his almost continuous service either as a senator or as Senate parliamentarian throughout the Senate's history. It is awarded annually to a first-term member of the Faculty Senate who has displayed an uncommon devotion to the mission of the Senate. So this year's nominees were Krista Oldham from the libraries, David Baps from Art Sciences, and Fadi Kasani from Pharmacy. And this year's recipient of the Richard Stadelman Award is David Baps. So come on up here. Does anybody have a cell phone that we can get a picture with? Oh, Kelly is going to come up here. So congratulations, David. And I realized I forgot to print out in my notes what the nominee said about the candidates. I apologize for that. The second award we give out annually is the Walter Doherty Faculty Senate Service Award. This was established in 2019 and is presented in recognitions of the many contributions of Walter Doherty to the Faculty Senate, including his distinguished service as senator, speaker, and on CBAC. It is awarded annually to a member of the Senate who has displayed an uncommon devotion to the mission of the Senate. The nominees for this year's award were Tracy Hammond, Danny Pugh, and Grace Townsend. And the winner is Grace Townsend. Grace, are you there? Could we focus on her? So Grace, we will give you your Grace, we will get you your plaque as soon as we can.
Oh my gosh, I am very seldom speechless, but I'm speechless. Thank you guys so much. Walter was such an amazing person. And wow, what an honor to be recognized in his honor. Thank you so very much.
Next, thank you, Grace. So next, I would like to call our two librarian representatives to the front here. So this is somewhat of a speaker, prerogative, thank you. So I have two certificates of appreciation here, and I'm going to have to hold one. But this certificate recognizes the long-standing service of the librarians of Texas A&M University for their service to the Texas A&M Faculty Senate and to supporting shared governance at our university. The Faculty Senate extends its deepest gratitude and commendation to all librarians who have served in the Senate. Their commitment and the insightful contributions provided by their unique perspective have been invaluable to the Senate's work and to the university community as a whole. The selfless service of librarians on the Faculty Senate has exemplified the spirit of collaboration that is foundational to a thriving R1 AAU land-grant university. Today, the Speaker of the Faculty Senate presents this certificate to the two current Faculty Senate representatives. I misprinted this. The two Faculty Senate representing the Texas University Libraries, Heather Adair and Christy Oldham. With our sincere appreciation, the Faculty Senate of Texas A&M University, August 11th, 2025. Lastly, one of the things that this group did on an annual basis was to have a resolution for the departing speaker. We've had the last few years have not been the easiest. We were meeting online, and let's just say lots has been going on for the past few years. So we have not given these for a couple years, but I thought that this was an appropriate time to recognize the last two former speakers who we have not recognized through Senate resolutions. So is Tracy Hammond online? Tracy, are you there? Okay, well, I am going to read the resolution for Tracy Hammond. Resolution honoring Tracy Hammond presented on August 11th, 2025. Whereas Tracy Hammond was sworn into office as Speaker of the Faculty Senate in May 2023, believing a calm year lied ahead at Texas A&M University. And whereas Speaker Hammond was sadly mistaken as university blew up around her, placing untold demands on her time and energy. And whereas Speaker Hammond's part-time job suddenly became more than a full-time assignment. And whereas Speaker Hammond called a record number of meetings to confront the damage that had occurred to academic freedom and the university's stature. And whereas Speaker Hammond presided over the most watched Faculty Senate meeting ever, the infamous special meeting that was streamed live on July 19th, 2023 on YouTube, and that at the time this resolution was written had garnered more than 57,000 views. And whereas Speaker Hammond adroitly navigated the appointment of a new administration, and whereas despite all the turmoil, Speaker Hammond never met a Senate subcommittee meeting that she didn't like, so she attended all of them. Whereas Speaker Hammond's strong and tireless advocacy for the academic freedom of Texas A&M faculty who received criticism from outside parties earned her praise throughout the university. And whereas these endeavors on behalf of targeted faculty involved little known but highly appreciated personal communications that far exceeded expectations. Therefore, be it resolved that the Executive Committee of the Faculty Senate, on behalf of the full Senate, extends its heartfelt gratitude to Tracy Hammond for her leadership during a critical time for the university and the Senate. And be it further resolved that the Executive Committee thanks former Speaker Hammond for all her behind-the-scenes efforts on behalf of individual faculty to help them through personally challenging times. And for both of these, we were not able to get them printed on nice paper, but we are going to do that and get them in a frame just as we did with the other ones. So will somebody please tell Tracy to watch the video? But we do seriously appreciate Tracy's service. So the last resolution we have here is for Angie Hill Price. Do you wish to sit down? You want to come up here? Whereas Angie Hill Price has successfully completed her third term as Speaker of the Texas A&M University Faculty Senate, and whereas Speaker Price, another typo, throughout this term, whereas Speaker Price, Angie Price thought this term would be smooth sailing, especially after she represented the Senate in the investiture of our new president in October. And whereas the seas were more turbulent than expected, but Speaker Hill Price calmly helped the Faculty Senate navigate these waters. And whereas Speaker Hill Price showcased the core components of shared governance through her upholding faculty committee mission, membership, and engagement articulated in Constitution and bylaws of the Faculty Senate. And whereas Speaker Hill Price has advocated fiercely for the Senate and the faculty of Texas A&M University before the Board of Regents and the Texas Senate during their 89th legislative session. And whereas Speaker Hill Price successfully convened the Senate's monthly meeting in hybrid format, allowing both participation via Zoom and a return to Rudder 601 for those who prefer to meet in person. And whereas Speaker Hill Price demonstrated the flexibility of hybrid participation by leading our meetings from Rudder 601, Florida while attending a conference, and even Virginia while awaiting the birth of a grandson. And whereas Speaker Hill Price now richly deserves to kick up her feet and enjoy a Dreamweaver from Wildflower with her granddaughter and the rest of their family, though they don't count so much. Therefore, be it resolved that the Executive Committee, on behalf of the entire Faculty Senate, expresses its sincere appreciation to Speaker Angie Hill Price for untiring dedication and significant accomplishments during her 2024 and 2025 term as Speaker of the Faculty Senate at Texas A&M University. Now you can come up and get a picture taken. What? Yes, I will buy it Wildflower.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for your service, Angie and Tracy. So with that, I believe we move into committee of the whole. So I now invite Speaker-elect James Howell, who's back from having a new child, to take us into committee of the whole.
Thank you, Speaker Klein. Does anyone have any discussion for the committee of the whole?
Well, just wanted to follow up on the two resolutions and just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks to the two former speakers. I had the opportunity to work closely with them as the chair of CPI when things were blowing up. And I would say that, both the speakers worked very responsibly. And just one comment for Andrew, would you please check your inbox?
Senator McGill.
Yeah, there was a thing on the consent agenda. At first, I thought I was going to have to ask to be withdrawn. I'm in the Department of Plant Pathology and Microbiology, and we have a bioenvironmental sciences undergraduate degree. And there was no place on there where I could see that my department head had been included into the signatures and so forth. Now, I saw that our academic dean was included, so I said, well, it must be. And I checked with Juan Bowen at the last minute. First, he told me, oh, we didn't agree to that. But then he said, no, that name was okay. So it just seems to me that the departments involved should be included in that list of people who sign off on one of those things. Because bioenvironmental sciences, as you know, used to have a joint program also with geosciences, and that got taken away and then put back and so forth. That's all.
Thank you, Senator McGill. Any other discussion items or comments for the committee of the whole? Yes, Senator Townsend.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to bring up an incident that I ran into last week with our health insurance and prescription services. A family member came down with COVID, was pretty sick. Doctor immediately called in a prescription for Paxlovid, and it took me about 8 hours to get that filled because it turns out, at least what I was told by multiple people, that Blue Cross Blue Shield not only wanted the prescription from the doctor, but also a prior authorization checkbox, as you would need to have for a procedure. And that ended up being quite an ordeal on a Friday afternoon, right up to closing time. So I thought that was a little peculiar. I worked with our HR person on our campus. They directed me to the abbreviation is RxSS. I forget what it stands for, but they were very helpful in helping me navigate that. But I did think it was appropriate to bring that to people's attention, especially since COVID seems to be on the rise this month. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Townsend. Any other items or comments for the committee of the whole?
One of the things that is going to happen is we're still going to be looking for people who are willing to be serving on various committees from the Senate. I'm currently, the current one that is the most pressing is looking from somebody ideally from West Campus or the Health Science Center who might want to serve on the Transportation Services Advisory Committee. We'd really like to get some faculty Senate representation for people who aren't kind of on East Campus. And there's great food at the lunches. It's a good group to be part of.
Senator Fickle.
Thank you. I just wanted to find out about the votes on some of the other things that we cover through the Faculty Senate, like Honor Council. I called in previously and asked when we were ever going to vote on that. And I was told that there were not enough nominees to vote at that time, to which I replied, okay, those people that are nominated that want to serve, send their name to Honor Council. And if the Honor Council is good with those people continuing, let's get going. This summer, I finally called Honor Council and said, hey, y'all haven't invited me or I haven't gotten any of the emails to participate this summer because my name was off of the list. So if we don't have enough people to vote on, why don't we just send the ones that have been doing it that were nominated instead of delaying or letting people drop off the list? I don't know the whole process, but that's what I was told when I called the Faculty Senate office, is we were not voting on it because there were not enough people nominated. So that's all I got.
Senator Fickle, we are going to look into that.
Thank you, Senator Fickle. Anyone else have a comment or discussion item for Committee of the Whole? Yes, Senator Jimenez.
Daniel Jimenez, Engineering. A couple of things. One, Andrew, I wanted to thank you a lot for, I've seen a lot of the work that you've been doing, and it's behind the scenes, you've been doing a hell of a lot of work for this Senate this term. And so I think you deserve some recognition for that. Now, people were concerned about the impact of Senate Bill 37, and it looks like the Senate will change a lot after September 1st. And nobody on the faculty really knows what that change is going to look like. And I don't want people to have the impression that no one's thinking about it. We're just, oh, we'll just see what happens. There's been a lot of thought put into it. And I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but I think you and others have been thinking a lot about how to work with the administration so that the Senate will remain important. And if there's anything you want to say to help people, I know a lot of it is pending the Board of Regents meeting.
So thank you. I'm just doing what is the best for this group and the faculty. So yes, the executive committee has been doing a lot of things. Again, we have to really wait to hear about what the Board of Regents is going to do, and that will, depending on how they vote and what happens, what will happen after that may differ. I would like to actually thank Joe Pettibon, Blanca Lupiani, Claire Katz, and Julie Kopazinski, who have been part of a subcommittee that has been looking at the impacts of Senate Bill 37 on the Senate. And so Joe Pettibon has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Really about what we can do right now is to make the changes that would be required of our Constitution and our bylaws to bring them in compliance with Senate Bill 37. That's kind of basically what we as a larger group can do. And then we just have to wait and see if the Senate will be allowed to continue or a new Senate will have to be created. That's kind of the two options that seem to be out there. But it will be hopefully what would happen in the future is we would take what we have now, make those changes, and the Senate would continue to go forward. I mean, I think the concern of this group obviously is probably a lot of the changes are easy to make because it's specified in law what has to happen. And so you can look at that. Those are not difficult. What we will be waiting on is some guidance of what the number of senators will be, and then how we'd have to apportion them. We'd have to do our apportionment based on that sort of thing. So that's really where we're at. I don't know if that answers your question, Daniel, but that's what we're waiting on. And depending on what happens, ideally we can bring at least our constitutional changes to this group. If we can't vote on them, at least we could maybe endorse them. But again, it's all going to depend on what the board decides to do. But yes, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes. And I thank all the EC members for their efforts. And I do thank the administration for being supportive of us as we do this. Again, what this group needs to do is can have patience for another couple weeks. And then there may be a lot of stuff we have to do in short time period. But again, the most important thing that we can do in this month is actually make sure we get our curricular stuff approved. So we try to minimize the impact on our academic programs in the upcoming year. We want to get everything to hit our catalog and coordinating board deadlines and those sort of things.
Senator McGill.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you thought about, I don't know how big the Senate will be, but if you've thought about, is it going to have to be a whole brand new 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Has any guidance come down?
We haven't received any guidance yet, Senator McGill. Senator Babst.
I didn't say anything when I was given an award earlier, so I just wanted to thank you all for the honor. And I wanted to just share an anecdote that, you know, when I was first thinking of running for the Senate, I told some other people, and their reaction was much like the reaction I got as a graduate student. And hopefully this isn't too much of a surprise for any philosophers who are here. When I told them that I had an interest in philosophy of science, and usually when a scientist tells another scientist that they have an interest in philosophy of science, usually the reaction is one of horror, because why would you ever be interested in philosophy? And similarly, with the Faculty Senate, I was often told by other people that that was, you know, an activity mostly for people who didn't like to do actual things, busy work. And I would just like to say that over my first term, I've definitely learned about the importance of the Faculty Senate and the incredible amount of work that we do that is behind the scenes. That I think right now that not only faculty, but the Senates themselves have a PR problem. It's often I read editorials in various newspapers that are making jokes and lambasting the idea of faculty senates, that universities bother to have faculty senates, that their use is in some ways implied to be almost like an unserious thing. And they're just comments from people who don't understand how universities work behind the scenes. You could make them work in other ways that don't involve faculty senates, but that way would be very different from how universities and colleges have been run in the United States. And it would be a lot more like how a high school is run. And so I hope that we live in a world in which we are going to continue to operate with universities and colleges as have operated in the United States. And I hope that that is the world that we're in. So, but thank you very much. And I'm really quite honored.
Thank you, Senator Babst.
I'd just like to follow up, sorry. So one of the things I didn't put in my speaker comments was that the role of the faculty in this university through the faculty senate and the shared governance of the university, it's kind of codified or expounded upon in the 1966 joint statement of shared governance of universities. That document wasn't only signed on by the Association of AAUP, American Association of University Professors, but also two other groups whose names are going to escape me, but one of them is actually the organization that involves the board of governors of universities. So the whole idea of shared governance didn't just from a faculty perspective, it's how the whole system works from faculty through administrators through governing boards. And I think it's served American universities very well since at least 1950s. And I think we all have to work really hard to ensure that it continues because it has serious ramifications to our standing as universities in the world if we don't continue to operate how we've been successful for many years. Thank you again, David.
All right. And before I give up the microphone, I would just like to echo what Senator Jimenez said in regards to our appreciation to Speaker Klein and everything that he's been doing in general, but especially over the last several months. It hasn't been an easy task trying to keep track of all the changes and potential changes and all of the different things that need to be kept in consideration while all of this is in the works. But Speaker Klein has been doing an excellent job, and I think we all certainly owe him a great deal of gratitude for everything that he's done. And with that, I will turn the meeting back over to you, Speaker Klein.
Thank you, Speaker Lichtau. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor, please rise.